Hi, and welcome back to Dan's Garage and Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and today I'm going to be going over 10 things that I think you should add to your first aid kit, whether that's for home, your car, for camping, or whatever you need a first aid kit for. Before we continue this video, I would just like to take this time to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It greatly helps me. It doesn't take you anything. Just subscribe and turn on the bell. That helps me greatly. Thank you. So number one, in no particular order, is a nail file. So a nail file can be used for a lot of things, but specifically if you have like a hangnail and you don't have a nail clipper to clip it off, you can file the hangnail down and make it a little less painful. So you can also use it to file down nails if they're too long, and you can also file like a piece of wood if you had to. You can use them for a lot of things in an emergency situation. So I think they're a good multi-purpose tool to have for your backpacking first aid kit. Next is dental floss. I think dental floss is kind of a odd thing to add to a first aid kit, but you could use it to stitch a garment or a piece of hiking equipment back together if it tears. You can also use it to floss your teeth. You could also use it to whip the end of a rope. You can use it for a lot of things. Next would be a utility knife. I think utility knife is kind of a The next thing I think you need in any good first aid kit is a good utility knife. I think a utility knife is kind of an underrated tool. It's extremely sharp. You can change the blades super easy, so you'll never have a dull blade as long as you can have extras. You can use it for literally anything. I took one to Philmont. It worked great, and it's generally speaking about the same weight, if not lighter, than a regular pocket knife. Next would be a pen, or I guess a Sharpie would work too. It's great for writing things down, specifically on paper, but in the event of a medical emergency, it is super important to write down, if you gave them medicine, when. That just helps the medical people figure out what they're dealing with and what the patient's already been given. Next, I think a multi-tool is also really helpful. This particular one has a knife, but a good pair of tweezers is always nice, and most importantly with a multi-tool is usually a pair of scissors or pliers. I'm hoping to put out a video about whether you should have a scissor-based or a plier-based multi-tool. That should be coming out about New Year's, so look for that. Next, indispensable, rope. Always have extras, even if you have some other places. Having extra rope is always super, super helpful. Whether you have to make a lashing or build a tent or something, you can use it to tie out your tent, whatever. I just like to have an extra bit of rope. Next would be big bandages, just in case you skin your knee or your elbow. Also, any larger wounds or stings where you don't want to have the band-aid so close where it could get stuck and cause more irritation to the spot. Big band-aids are just helpful, and usually smaller first aid kits don't have them, but having one or two big band-aids is a good thing to have. A good pair of scissors. These are not like medical scissors or anything, but they're really sharp, which I like, and so you can use them to cut heavy fabrics. If you have to fix something, they cut string because they're super, super sharp. You need a very, very, very sharp scissor to cut string because it's so fine. So just generally helpful is a pair of scissors. A notepad kind of goes with the pen, but to make 10 items, added a notebook. Helpful for writing things down, like marking a trail, directions, whatever you need to write down. Generally, having something to write it on is also useful. And last but not least, a headlamp. Putting it in a first aid kit, even if you take a headlamp somewhere else, yes, it's extra weight, but if you forget your headlamp or you lose it, and then remember you have a headlamp in, say, your first aid kit, and you're like, oh, well, now I have a headlamp, it could be a super useful item. Or if you meet somebody and they're like, I don't have a headlamp, say you're in an emergency situation, having an extra headlamp could help people find you. Having an extra light, or being able to go work with, go two ways after dark instead of just having one light. So these are the 10 things that I think you should add any first aid kit to make it better. If you have any more ideas or something else that you think should be on this list, leave them in the comments below. As always, if you haven't done so, subscribe, leave a comment, like, share this with your friends. Thank you for watching.